Here's Sacha Stone with some updates and very inspirational words. Take a listen to.
My friends, this is a call to action. I've arrived in Los Angeles. I'm staying in Hollywood, and I'll be here for the next couple of weeks, more or less, before I head to Florida. I'm doing the Conscious Life Expo this coming Friday. For those of you who are in and around the Los Angeles district, do try and make it. 8 p.m. I'll be at the LAX Hilton on Plaza One stage. And my talk is the geometry of revelation, from dust of empire to the dawn of ascension. And whilst I was having my third cigarette of the day, I know, don't. It just occurred to me, looking at the strap lines coming onto the screen consistently in recent weeks, I've wondered why I've felt this tremendous, deep sense of, I guess you'd call it vindication. With the Epstein files drama reaching a kind of a pivot point where it's no longer just a story. It is now becoming hard reality. And by that I mean that the liberal intellectual class of the world are waking up to the fact that in the Babylonian basement, so to speak, the most pernicious and nefarious stuff has been taking place for a very, very long time. Whistleblowers and truth and disclosure merchants and frontline activists, futurists, in a sense, like myself, who have for a very long time been speaking truth to power and have been speaking to these narratives and these subjects for many years on the margin, and obviously vilified and castigated for being conspiracy theorists and snake oil salesmen and selling hopium and all that kind of crap. It just seems to me that from my particular aspect, and I know that there are others like my beloved friend David Icke and others who've been at this a long time. I think we're all sharing this sense of this exhale for the first time, and it's tremendous. It's freed me up in a tremendous sense and given me not just succor and the ability to look back over my own shoulder at myself and my own labyrinthine journey into truth and disclosure and into remedy. I'm able to look over my shoulder at a younger version of me and say, well done for walking that walk. I say this not to pat myself on the back, but I guess in the hope and the sense that there's many of you out there who haven't had a platform particularly to speak on and haven't had an audience to speak to. But you've also held hard and fast to truth and to what you knew was the stink in the basement. And I know because so many people that I speak to in the course of my life and my work tell me this, and I get thousands of letters and messages and so on, people coming up to me and speaking to me. Even yesterday, just having first arrived here in the US, and I'm just waiting with my suitcases on the little promenade at Marina del Rey, and a lovely lady and a guy were sitting at the little cafe. Hi, are you Sacha? And we got into a little chat, and it turns out that for years she's been following my stuff. I had this in Walmart. I had this in a Home Depot going in to get some fucking plug or something. Someone coming up to me in the queue and saying, hey, Sacha, and I'm just getting this consistently now. People who have been kind of closeted, I guess, who are also now feeling vindicated. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And this is kind of why I'm calling my talk at the Conscious Life Expo this Friday, The Geometry of Revelation, and what it is that I'm going into in this talk that I'm giving here in Los Angeles. Then in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be in West Palm doing the same thing. And then I'll be doing it again in San Rafael. So I'm doing the New Life Expo, the Conscious Living Expo, and the Conscious Life Expo. And then I'm doing a big gig in Mount Shasta as well later in the year. And really the central theme is the geometry of revelation. And I'm sticking to that this year. It's all I'm really speaking about. Because what I wanted to do was to break down the geometry, the mathematics and the calculus of my own journey in having seen 20, 25 years ago, certainly 20 years ago, and then without any question of doubt, 15, 16, 17 years ago, when for me it locked in. And now, where we are in 2026, and that geometry of revelation is now opening in such a way that it is irrevocable, it's irretrievable, it's there, it's in the open. What is about to come out, not just in connection to the Sabbatean ritual satanic and to some extent Luciferian basement. And I always make a distinction between the Luciferians and the Satanists, incidentally. There's a huge distinction to be made there. And I'll be elucidating that on my talk on this Friday. But there is a huge gulf. The fact of the matter is that revelation is now unstoppable. But it's bringing with it the extraterrestrial question, the whole cosmogenesis and archaeo-cosmological narrative is about to erupt. So we know that is 2026 into 2027, into 2028. And certainly by 2030, it's over. Every living soul on the planet will know what the Hopi and the Aboriginal peoples have been maintaining all along, that we are star people, we're Star Nation, and we're directly connected to the star people, whether you're talking the Pleiadian or the Andromedan or the Arcturian or the Alpha Centaurian or the Sirian or the Orion. It doesn't really matter. The fact is that we are now, every human being is a confluence of the galactic genome, and the human being is the galactic genome. So we represent now, through the fractal antenna of our DNA, every other star nation, because we've all variously iterated through those incarnations. So now the only thing that matters is absolute pure truth. Absolute pure truth, unfiltered and undiluted in every single sense of the word, pure truth. And I'm going for gold on that subject. I'm also going to say this, that it's not so much about basking in the stories that are being revealed. It's more about how that revelation, as it relates to you awakening from within the dream, how that actualizes, how that animates you into action, into dynamic consciousness in action. So that's the seminal piece here, is how do we now begin to build the new earth? And what is the role that each of us are mandated to? What is the mandate that we give ourselves? What is the mandate that is God-given, that is fated, that is destined, predestined? Can destiny override fate? And so on and so forth. These are very relevant questions now. Are we fated to simply wait out the cycle? Or are we able to arrest the fated cycle and now superimpose onto it a destined outcome, something which we can draw from the highest realms into our bearing, into our witness, and now go forth and prosper. And in a world devoid of Babylonian witchery, a world beyond time, a world beyond money, and beyond fear, to be sure. As I've been saying for many long years, time and money and fear are exactly the same equation. There is nothing that separates them. Which brings me to the resolution point that I'm delivering on in my talk this Friday at the Conscious Life Expo, which is the unveiling of the New Earth Exchange and the parallel economic and financial system that my crew have been designing and engineering and building and getting ready for release. This is exciting because when we're able to reclaim our own capacity to transact the net of our time and motion is money. Okay, so that ghastly stuff that people stockpile in Switzerland and in bank vaults and in crypto wallets, which should never be sequestered, incidentally, into vaults and into wallets. Money should flow. It should flow like the blood supply, because money in that sense is the blood supply. Money is an accreted manifestation of life force, of time and motion and creative ideas. And the fact that we then sequester them and stockpile them and hold on to them is symptomatic of a very, very deep sickness that we've had civilizationally, which is a refusal to acknowledge our immortality and our divinity, and the fact that the only thing holding us back from our immortality and our divinity is the idea of time and money. And fear then being the source code of a mutant culture or mutant civilizational pattern. And of course the organized religions play a very, very significant part, or have played a very significant part in that systematic entrenchment of fear in our cultural reflex. So everything is fight or flight, survivalism, and how we orchestrate and organize our lives and pit ourselves one against the other. That competitiveness, which eventuates, I guess, culturally into the monstrosity of sports and the kind of Olympian ideal. The Olympian ideal was about Übermensch in the true Aryan tradition of becoming the superhuman, becoming the greatest template that you are, and making that manifest. But that turned into competitiveness, and that turned into the corporate ladder that we have today, which is not a meritocracy. It's a motherfuckocracy. It's about how nasty can you be? How greedy can you be? To what extent can you abnegate or abdicate your conscience in the course of life or in the course of career? And the rewards that you get for being able to transgress your conscience, for instance. And that's what brings us to today. Untenable, a pyramidal monetary system based on fiat, which is theft, usury, inflation and inflationary and scarcity-based economics, which is to say a war economy, which is to say a blood economy, which is to say an entire planetary economy that is predicated on the sacrifice of innocence and the harvest of humanity. Well, fuck that. Time out. That is what the premise of my talk is, and what I'm unveiling at the Conscious Life Expo. So please come down if you can. Be prompt. I'm starting at 8 o'clock. I'll end at 9:30 p.m. I'll be in the Plaza 1 room. And I think when you see what we're unveiling with the New Earth Exchange, its banking system, and its capacity to completely retrieve and reclaim us from the kingdom of the devil, now is the time to out this. I was way ahead of the curve 15, 17 odd years ago, screaming about all the shit that's now hitting and coming to light. Of course, in 2015, when we launched the International Tribunal for Natural Justice, and then in 2018, when we first outed Pizzagate and all of these satanic and Saturnian narratives connected to pedophilia, child trafficking, human trafficking, child sex abuse. And that morphed on into the weaponization of the biosphere in the Judicial Commission of Inquiry in 2019. So in 2018 and 19, we really came out, and I certainly led that fray in unleashing these stories into what we were hoping would be the mainframe. But the testimonies were taken and were given at that time. It's all a matter of public record. You can go to commission.itnj.org and see that we tore the proverbial mask off the devil as long ago as that, and others before me have done it years ahead. My beloved friend G. Edward Griffin, who I'm told is turning up to my talk in the front row. Certainly he has pole position with his wife Pat if he does turn up, but I hope to God he does. I miss G. Edward Griffin. I've not seen him for a couple of years. But he was one, for instance, who tore the mask off decades before anyone else with his publishing of the Creature from Jekyll Island, when he unmasked the Federal Reserve, which is to say the war economy and the Babylonian basement. So there are people like G. Edward Griffin who've been out there a great deal longer than myself and others like me, who were the way showers and the light bearers. But here we are, and we're in our power, we're in our strength. This is the time where we can enact and embody. You couldn't have done it 10 years ago. It was too weaponized. The Obama, Clinton, and Bush, Rothschild, Rockefeller conspiracy. There's a No, he's calling to say that he's coming. Going to try and fly in to be here on Friday as well. I've got to just cancel that. Sorry, Scotty. I'll be with you in a minute. Point I'm making is that we've reached a point now where it's no longer telling the stories or basking in the revelation. It's about doing it, right action, pure truth in the now. I'm going to be speaking boldly to all of this on 8 p.m. on the 20th. That's this Friday at the Conscious Life Expo. Please do make it, because you're in for one hell of a surprise if you get down there. All right, friends, much love. Bye now.
But there you have it. What resonates, take. What doesn't, don't. But the dates are February 20th from 8 to 9 p.m. at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles. And as you can see, there was a lot of good info there. So like I said, take what resonates with you, what is on your level at this moment. And the rest, well, just leave it. Alrighty? Thank you for watching, and like, comment, and share. I appreciate your moral support. See you.